Thank you, Matt, and thank you all for joining us today, talking about how we're going to plan through this black swan period and what's going to wait for us on the other side. Really, the presentation is going to break down into two distinct parts. One is the COVID-19 issue itself, what trends can we discern there, and then the economic aspects of it all, and obviously they dovetail. The functions that we've been trying to figure out for you are these. How long is this all going to continue? Is this something that is going to define the next 6 months, the next 2 years, or the next 6 weeks? And then what are the key economic variables that we need to be looking at? How are we going to know when some semblance of normal is coming back, and what's that new norm going to look like? And looking at the rest of the world, we see that the world was beginning to get better. It was already on the backside of the business cycle. You see that on the blue line, right? That's world industrial production. This is the chart that we've looked at in prior years. We knew the world was going to be here. And the red line was already moving up, and that's time shifted to the right on this slide so that you can see how the highs and lows of that leading indicator line up. That's the G7 leading indicator put out by the OECD. We ran a 112 rate of change on it, and it was already in recovery. And then the black swan hit. And then the unintended consequences of the black swan hit. The good news in this slide is that after you absorb the event, the black swan event, the economic fundamentals come back into play. So we're going to absorb this event. Europe is going to start to reopen. It will reopen. It's only a question of time. And the economic fundamentals will reassert themselves. And knowing that it is coming should help you understand that this isn't a new lifelong event. This is a temporary phenomenon, and one that we will and can overcome. In helping us overcome it, we've had fiscal policy and monetary policy that have been very stimulative. On the fiscal side, this is that $2 trillion bill passed by the Congress, signed by the President. $2 trillion. We have never, ever seen, as a percent of GDP, a stimulus program this big in the United States. This is amazing. Japan one-upped us, though. I mean, Japan just passed a stimulus program that's about 20% of their GDP. Talk about putting the pedal to the metal. And this is just Act 1 here in the United States at $2 trillion. Now they're talking about another trillion. If they're talking about $1 trillion, it'll probably be more than that by the time they're done. The federal government was very fast to respond to the issue. It was not like 2008, 2009, where there was a lot of foot dragging and consternation and discussion. This was rapidly done. We have 5 indicators telling us something. We listen. They have some rise colored there in amber because we could easily lose those rising trends. But if you see that we have 5 or more upside indicators in place as we're cruising through June, then you're going to know that we're right about we're coming out of this in the second half of the year, and that your business, if it moves like GDP, if it moves like industrial production, if it moves like retail sales, then you're coming out of it also. What you really should be planning now in the second quarter, we think, besides your cash flow needs, is, all right, how am I going to retool? How am I going to get back into this full swing of things? But the new norm is not any different than the old norm in that these downturns happen and we recover and we find a way to make the economy work. And the way the industrial base has been given a get out of jail free card in a lot of spaces in this particular cycle is encouraging in terms of people recognizing the importance of this industrial manufacturing base. It's varied a lot from state to state, but one of the general takeaways is we know we need it. So grateful to our sponsors here that have made this happen. Very grateful to the Chamber who had the foresight to continue on finding a way to do this. And very grateful to you for caring about the future. Remember, fear makes for bad decisions. Review what we've been talking about. Do what you can to reduce the fear. And you're going to find that the quality of your decisions regarding the future going to go up immeasurably.